lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're notified whenever I post a new video. My name is Silem. Today I'm going to show you guys how to cut and sew a butterfly dress. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Okay, so I simply folded my fabric in half. This is just 2 yards of fabric. I folded it in half, and now I'm just measuring the width of the fabric, and I'm taking the center point or the midpoint. Once I've gotten that, I'm simply now taking the depth of my neck. The depth of my neck, I'm taking 4 inches, and the width of my neck is 4 inches as well. So it's from the center point is 4 inches on both sides. So together that's 8 inches wide. So I'm just drawing a curve to join those points together. And that serves as my neckline. And now from the top, I'm simply marking her bust point, because I'm making this for a client. Simply marking the bust point, under bust, and the hip line measurements. I like the length of the fabric as it is, or the length of the dress as it is. I'm not going to cut it or make it longer. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So I'm just extending the bust point, under bust, and hip line. And once I've done that, I'm simply going to take her bust measurement and divide that into 2. So my fabric is just folded in half. So I'm just dividing her bust measurement by 4, and then I'm placing that measurement at the midpoint, and then I'm just marking that measurement, and then I'm adding 1 inch allowance. I'm doing the same thing on the other side, taking her bust measurement divided by 4, marking that point, and then adding just 1 inch allowance. Now I've moved on to her shape measurement. I'm just taking her shape measurement, dividing it by 4, placing it at that midpoint, and marking that measurement. And then I'm also adding 1 inch allowance. I'm doing the same thing for the other side. And now for her hip measurement, I'm just taking that measurement divided by 4, placing it at the midpoint on the hip line, and I'm just marking that measurement and adding 1 inch allowance. Notice that the bust measurement was marked on the bust line, the bust point line. The bust measurement was marked on the bust point line. The shape measurement was marked on the under bust line, and the hip measurement was marked on the hip line. Now I'm just drawing a curve to join these points together. If you notice, I'm marking everything on the right side of my fabric, simply because I'm going to sew along that line you've seen. And now I'm just cutting open her neckline, or cutting open the neck. And that's it, guys. Very simple, very easy to cut. Now what I'm doing is, that line I drew on the fabric, which connected the hip line, shape, and bust point, I'm just sewing along that line, because that is going to form the shape of my butterfly dress. I'm not cutting anything out. I'm simply just sewing on that line that I marked. I'm going to do that for both sides. Now I'm doing the same thing for the other side. I'm just sewing on that line that I marked. And I'm doing this on the right side of the fabric. Do not sew on the wrong side of the fabric, just sew directly on the right side of the fabric. And once I've done that, all I'm going to do now is pipe the neckline with a bias. And that's it, guys. This is such a very easy dress to make. Before I went ahead to even sew those lines that I just finished sewing now, I went ahead to weave all the edges and all the sides so everything is nice and neat. I did weave everything before I now sewed along those lines. So once I did that, or once I finished doing that, I'm simply just hemming or piping the neckline with a bias. If you don't want to do this, you can simply weave your neckline and then just fold it once and sew it around. Once I sewed the bias around the neckline, I'm simply folding the bias inwardly and then sewing it down. That way my neckline is piped and you don't see the bias on the right side. You can only see the bias on the wrong side of the fabric. There's also another method of piping your neckline where you actually turn the bias and sew it on the right side of the fabric, but that's not what I was going for this look. I was simply going for a very simple chic look, so I simply sewed the bias while it was turned inwardly towards the wrong side. And that's it, guys. That's the neckline piped neatly. That's what it looks like. And basically that's it for this beautiful butterfly dress. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.